Welcome everyone, and thank you for attending today's training on Georgia's fireworks laws. In this session, we're going to walk through both the statutory requirements found in OCGA Chapter 2510 and the enforcement framework established under rules of the Safety Fire Commissioner. Our goals are simple. First, to help you clearly understand what activities involving fireworks are legal or illegal in the state of Georgia. Second, to explain the definitions, restrictions, and duties assigned under the law. And finally, to review the penalties, from misdemeanors all the way up to felonies, as well as enforcement authority and seizure procedures. By the end of this training, you should have a firm understanding of how fireworks may be sold, used, stored, transported, and displayed in the state of Georgia. Georgia law gives us a very specific definition of what a firework is. Under OCGA 2510(1), fireworks include any combustible or explosive composition designed to produce a visible or audible effect. Now, you'll also hear two important categories: consumer fireworks and pyrotechnics. Consumer fireworks are the smaller items intended for the general public, ones that meet federal safety standards. Pyrotechnics, on the other hand, are professional-grade devices intended for trained, licensed operators. These are highly regulated because they're used in shows, films, and special effects. Understanding these definitions is essential because the law regulates each type differently. Now let's look at what Georgia does not classify as fireworks. Under the law, several items are excluded from consideration as fireworks. These include model rockets and their engines, toy pistol paper caps with very small explosive content, wire or wood sparklers under 100 grams, and other sparkling items that are non-explosive and non-aerial. You'll also see harmless novelty items on this list, things like snakes, glowworms, smoke devices, party poppers, string poppers, and snappers. These are not regulated as consumer fireworks because they contain minimal or no explosive composition and pose far less risk. Even though these items are not classified legally as fireworks, many of them are still labeled by federal standards as 1.4G consumer fireworks or 1.4S pyrotechnic articles. This labeling can be confusing, but Georgia law is clear. These specific novelty items remain exempt from the fireworks category despite the federal classification. It's important for sellers and enforcement personnel to know this so they do not mistakenly treat exempt items as regulated fireworks. These exempt items are commonly referred to as safe and sane fireworks. They usually carry a marking indicating this classification. Again, these items are non-aerial, non-explosive, and far less hazardous, which is why they fall outside of most of the fireworks regulatory structure in Georgia. Georgia law places strict limits on how fireworks can be sold, used, stored, or transported. The law also prohibits causing injury or property damage through either reckless or intentional use of fireworks. Additionally, it is illegal to sell fireworks to anyone under the age of 18, and minors under 18 may not use or possess them. Identification must always be verified through a government-issued ID during a face-to-face sale. These broad prohibitions create the foundation for Georgia's safety-driven regulatory structure. Georgia has a very serious provision relating to interference with emergency responders. It is illegal to knowingly and intentionally ignite a firework if it explodes within 150 feet of a firefighter, EMT, or law enforcement officer, and the person does so with the purpose of disrupting or hindering them while performing their duties. Additionally, if a firework injures or harms one of these emergency workers, that also qualifies. This offense is classified as a high and aggravated misdemeanor, underscoring just how seriously the state treats interference with public safety personnel. Georgia restricts both where and when fireworks can be used. They cannot be used indoors, and they cannot be ignited in public roadways or railroad rights of way. It's important to note here that this provision also applies to safe and sane products. They also cannot be used within 100 yards of sensitive facilities like electric plants, water treatment plants, jails, or gasoline retail facilities with more than 500 gallons of stored fuel. Under normal circumstances, fireworks may only be used from 10 a.m. to 11:59 p.m., except where local noise ordinances restrict their use, and we'll talk about holiday exemptions next. The law allows extended fireworks hours on certain holidays that supersede any local noise ordinance. Fireworks may be used from 10 a.m. until 11:59 p.m. on New Year's Day, the last Saturday and Sunday in May, July 3rd and 4th, the first Monday in September, and December 31st. Additionally, on New Year's Day, the law provides an extra window from midnight to 1 a.m. During these periods, local noise ordinances cannot override state-authorized fireworks hours. When we refer to a fireworks display or exhibition, we're talking about a public event conducted by licensed professionals using consumer fireworks, display fireworks, or pyrotechnics. Displays fall into two categories: public fireworks displays, which are held outdoors for audiences at prescribed distances. Proximate audience displays, which occur indoors or outdoors where the audience is closer than NFPA 1123 would normally allow. These events must be licensed, professionally operated, and conducted under strict safety rules. All operators conducting outdoor or proximate audience fireworks displays must hold a valid license issued by the Safety Fire Commissioner. Operators and their assistants must show proof of competency and will be issued identification cards. Each individual display also requires a local permit from the fire authority, submitted at least 10 days prior to the event. Applicants must demonstrate compliance with all applicable safety codes and provide either a bond or liability insurance to cover potential damages. Rules of the Safety Fire Commissioner Subject 12322 governs the manufacturing, storage, transportation, retail sales, and public display of fireworks and pyrotechnics. It also includes flame effects and special effects used in entertainment. This rule establishes safety standards for facilities, licensing requirements, and competency expectations for operators. It works hand in hand with the statutory requirements in OCGA Chapter 2510. Administrative penalties can include warnings, fines, license suspensions, and revocations. If an applicant or licensee makes false or misleading statements on licensing paperwork, that can rise to the level of a criminal offense. Licenses can also be denied or not renewed if operators fail to comply with rules, safety standards, or insurance requirements. In Georgia, fireworks offenses fall into three general categories: felonies, which include unlicensed fireworks displays and certain violations of OCGA 2510-2. Misdemeanors, which apply to most lower-level or first-time violations. Civil and administrative penalties, which may be applied by the Safety Fire Commissioner in addition to criminal consequences. Understanding the level of the offense helps determine enforcement actions and penalties. Criminal penalties under Georgia law are serious. Conducting an unlicensed fireworks display is a felony, punishable by 2 to 10 years in prison and fines up to $10,000. Causing injury or property damage through reckless or intentional use of fireworks is also subject to felony penalties under criminal damage statutes. Violating the broad fireworks prohibitions, such as illegal sale, storage, or possession in violation of OCGA 2510-2, are primarily classified as misdemeanors. Georgia authorizes civil penalties of up to $2,500 per violation for most offenses under this chapter. However, if fireworks are knowingly sold from a tent or canopy, which is illegal, the civil penalty increases to $5,000 and may include revocation of the distributor's license for up to 2 years. Each illegal sales transaction counts as a separate offense. Any fireworks that are manufactured, stored, or sold illegally are considered contraband. They may be seized and destroyed by the State Fire Marshal, Georgia State Patrol, or any local law enforcement agency. Local fire departments that encounter violations must refer cases to the State Fire Marshal for enforcement. Property that is seized becomes subject to forfeiture procedures under Georgia law. Georgia uses a multi-agency approach to enforcement. The Safety Fire Commissioner is the primary authority responsible for licensing, rulemaking, and enforcement. Law enforcement agencies, including local police, sheriffs, and the State Patrol, may enforce violations related to illegal igniting or possession of fireworks. This shared structure ensures that fireworks laws can be enforced consistently across the state. Let's look at some possible scenarios. First, officers observe fireworks being sold by a vendor operating from a pushcart. The cart contains consumer fireworks regulated under Georgia law. When questioned, the vendor is unable to produce a license issued by the Safety Fire Commissioner. Officers should immediately stop all sales activity and secure the scene. Verify that the fireworks meet the legal definition of consumer fireworks under OCGA 2510. Conduct identification and background checks on the vendor. Because conducting unlicensed fireworks sales is a violation that may result in misdemeanor charges and civil penalties, initiate enforcement action. If willful noncompliance or prior violations are present, take the vendor into custody for selling fireworks without proper licensing. Seize fireworks as contraband under authority provided to law enforcement in the State Fire Marshal's office. Contact the State Fire Marshal's office to report the unlicensed operations and coordinate administrative penalties, documentation, and proper handling of seized materials. In Scenario 2, officers receive reports of fireworks being set off inside Centennial Olympic Park. On arrival, officers see aerial fireworks being launched toward the crowd area without a licensed operator on site. No permit has been issued by the local fire authority as required for public or proximate audience displays. Officers should immediately order all fireworks activities to cease and establish a safety perimeter. Identify the individuals responsible for setting up, igniting, or supervising the display. Because conducting an unlicensed fireworks display is a felony punishable by 2 to 10 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine, initiate felony arrest procedures for the responsible parties. Seize all fireworks and pyrotechnic materials as contraband. Document crowd size, hazards, proximity to structures, and any injuries or damage. Notify the State Fire Marshal's office immediately to report the unlicensed public display and coordinate follow-up investigation, administrative review, and evidence handling. If spectators or bystanders were endangered, ensure incident documentation notes reckless endangerment or obstruction violations as applicable. To wrap up, remember that Georgia heavily regulates the sale, possession, storage, and use of fireworks. Activities outside of these regulations can result in civil fines, seizure of contraband, misdemeanor charges, or even felonies carrying multi-year prison sentences. Compliance is essential, not only for safety, but also to avoid severe legal penalties. Understanding the laws ensures we protect the public and uphold state regulations. Thank you all for your time and participation in today's fireworks training session. We appreciate the work each of you do to help keep Georgia's communities safe. Before you go, please take a moment to scan the QR codes displayed on this slide. One will provide you with our contact information if you have questions, need clarification, or would like follow-up materials. The second QR code links directly to the relevant sections of OCGA 2510. These resources are here to support you as you continue your work in enforcement and community safety. Thank you again, and stay safe.